What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I wanted to clarify something very important about Tesla, make a very quick update video about it, and talk about why on earth, even if there is some downside to come because of the new changes that came out from Moody about the US's outlook, even if it leads to more downside for Tesla, I still think there's going to be more upside for the end of this month and also going into December. And I'm still very bullish overall for the end of the year for Tesla and beyond. So I'm going to clarify something very important, talk about what I think Tesla is going to do. But before I do anything like this, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Now, this all ends in just 5 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. In my video from yesterday, I talked about Moody. They have cut the US's outlook to negative, setting higher interest rates and more deficits. And this is technically a negative catalyst for the market that could lead to some downside. Now, with that being said, the way that global investors look at the US is going to shift, and this is leading to less security and less fiscal stability overall, at least for the US. Now, when it comes to how the market continues with this, could the market just try to continue to rally? I mean, there's always that possibility that the market kind of ignores this, but I find that to be very unlikely. I think that it's still possible that this is going to affect the way the market moves, and we want to just be prepared just to be safe. So if SPY were to keep pushing, I know people were like telling me that very recently. We're going to be watching this trend line up here. We have this white trend line. If we break above this and we break above 442, then the market could just try to ignore this news. And there's always the possibility of it continuing to go. But even in the case of the market selling off, if it does sell off a bit at least, which I think is very possible, we could still see SPY come down and start to fill some of these gaps in the future. We have a gap down to 433. We also have 438 and 435. But for now, what I'm starting to think is that we could dip a bit and then see buyers try to defend. If that's the case, even if there's some kind of dip that's coming, even if the market slows down a bit over the next 2 weeks, I'm still not extremely bearish on Tesla. I think that there could be some selling that comes, but Tesla's going to remain range bound since we have this nice inverse head and shoulders like structure on the 4-hour time frame. And I think that as we approach the Cybertruck launch event, Tesla's going to see some nice upside at the end of November during the last 10 days or so of November last week. And I think Tesla's going to have a strong November. And I think that December is going to be very strong as well for the company. So I'm going to break down more reasons as to why. The biggest reason to start us off is going to be the Cybertruck. Now, when the event gets closer, there's going to be a lot of hype coming out, very similar to when we see a lot of buyers stepping in, lots of excitement, and Tesla still has that unfilled gap all the way up here in this 240 area. Now, could Tesla fill this in November? I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not as certain about November, but near the end of November, I think Tesla could get close to doing so. And then by December, we should have the gap fully filled, and Tesla should be in a very good run. Now, when it comes to Tesla, why is the Cybertruck so big? Well, there are a lot of buyers stepping in. There's a lot of hype about it, and we're just seeing lots of cool pieces of news coming out about it, about their specs. I mean, I talked about this in an earlier video. There's even a video of one trying to go up a very steep hill that resembles stairs. I think these might actually be stairs, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it's very strong. It's very durable. I mean, there was a video of Elon Musk, I believe, he was with Joe Rogan and they tried to shoot an arrow through it. They even talked about how, with the Tommy gun, they tried to shoot through it, at least the frame, and they weren't able to shoot through it, which is very amazing. It just shows how secure it is. Musk even mentioned that the glass has an option to put bulletproof glass inside of it. There's another option for that. So it's very exciting, and I can't wait to see how much hype comes for this towards the end of this month. Very cool stuff. I'm very excited about this. And I think that from my view, I see this very nice looking inverse head and shoulders structure. And I think that Tesla is going to break out. So for the next 1.5 weeks, with this Moody news coming out, this could slow the markets down a bit. There's always the possibility. If that's the case, yes, Tesla could retrace back down to 207.5. It could come down to even 205. Even if that happens, it's going to be okay, because the inverse head and shoulders is still going to be valid. It could just trade sideways in this range for another week and still be completely fine. And I think that later on down the road, we're going to see more buyers stepping in again, and we're going to see them push Tesla up to these higher levels. And Tesla is eventually going to push back up to the 240s. I would say within 4 to 5 weeks from now, it should be able to by early December, if not by the end of November. I believe in the upside. Still, I'm still a big bull, and I think November is going to be strong. So I haven't really flip flopped from my overall view. I've been saying that there's going to be a November squeeze. We've so far seen a nice squeeze for the markets for November. The market may see some downside because of the news that came out. There's always the possibility of that. We also have CPI on Tuesday, so we'll see what that causes. If the market just trades sideways for a bit or it cools off a bit, that's completely fine. But I'm still leaning bullish for the end of November going into December. And I think December is going to be a very bullish month for Tesla. And I think it's going to break out thanks to this nice inverse head and shoulders. When you look at Tesla's chart, we can even go here. You can see this clear cut inverse head and shoulders with this gap up here to fill. But if we look at Tesla on the monthly time frame, the chart is also bullish because looking back from here, Tesla is nowhere near 100. I know people keep talking about it sinking to 80. In my opinion, that's ridiculous. Tesla may have some hardships when it comes to the current macro environment. If you look at what's happened to their margins, if you look at what's happening to their overall other margins, their operating sales, and etc., I'm not sure Tesla will meet every goal for like the medium term, but I believe that for the long term, they're still going to be very, very strong. And I think that the market is so forward looking that we're not going to see Tesla crash all the way back down to 80 or anything like that, like people are saying. There could be more downside coming, sure, but Tesla's going to hold up nicely as we still look bullish on the chart. The monthly looks bullish. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders on the monthly. Even if Tesla sinks down to like 180, like let's just say that happens hypothetically, right? It's still bullish. It's still bullish. It's just another dip buying opportunity because come to the end of the year, it's going to continue to rally hard. Approach the next few months, it's going to likely continue to rally, and we should be heading back to all-time highs, in my opinion, over the next couple of years. Over the next year or so, it could easily happen. As long as things remain decent for them, as long as they continue to improve, the high interest rate environment is going to hurt them to some extent, but the news and hype about the Cybertruck could help this thing recover. And I believe that by 2025, once we find out what the Fed is going to do, if they start cutting their rates and things continue from there, Tesla could still approach its all-time highs by then. 2024 could be kind of shaky. We could see pumps and also some downside because of the recession that's coming, but I don't believe there's going to be a massive crash. I've already talked about that in my previous videos. Too predictable, not to mention when the market turns way too bearish, we see the buyers step in. And on top of that, we didn't really get this contraction in earnings that's to the extent people are saying. Earnings were quite decent so far again. And I think that there's manipulation that's involved too, because Wall Street are just going to continue to lower their estimates to make sure it's not too bad. So anyways, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I believe that what's going to happen is we have a very, very nice accumulation structure on the monthly. Tesla could drop a little bit for the short term, but for the medium to long term, I think that we're going to continue to respect an uptrend. I think the recession could lead to more selling pressure for Tesla, but Tesla will just trade sideways. And overall, the chart looks like it has more upside that's going to continue later on down the line, especially towards the end of 2024. And I believe this because of how forward-looking the market is and how much potential Tesla still has. So I'm still very bullish on the chart, guys. I know it sounds crazy. I know a lot of people are saying the market has to crash. I've already talked about this in the past. I'm also the guy that told you there's going to be a November squeeze coming. It happened. I called for some downside to come. It could be coming soon, but regardless of what the extent is of the downside, whether the market drops a few points or even if it's 10 to 15 points, I'm still very bullish for the end of November. I am bullish for December, and I think that the market has more upside for the end of the year, and we're just going to prioritize that. All right, so my view of Tesla has not changed whatsoever. For the short term, could we see some downside? Sure, yes, we can. There could be some downside for the short term because of the Moody news, because of the US's downgrade. Sure, that's fine with me. It just gives me another buying opportunity. Because come to the end of November, as we approach the Cybertruck launch event, as we approach other big events, as we approach December, I think Tesla's going to be very bullish for the end of the year. We have a lot of gaps to fill, and it's going to be rallying all the way up to these imbalances, back up to 250, 270, you name it. It sounds crazy. People may not believe me, but just wait and see. Just come back to this video in 1.5 months, and you're going to see how bullish Tesla turns. It has a nice inverse head and shoulders, nice accumulation. Could trade sideways for a bit before this thing starts to rally towards the end of November, going into December. That is my view of Tesla. That's what I have for this video. My view has not changed. Yes, there's some bad news that could slow the market down. It may cause some downside for Tesla for the short term, sure. But for the medium term, for the end of the year, I am still more bullish for the stock market. My view has not changed. I think that SPY is also going to run hard. Now, we could cool off a bit. We, in my opinion, are due for some kind of like pullback. Could happen thanks to the bearish divergence. But I believe that if we do cool off just a little bit, we have a nice inverse cup and inverse head and shoulders, not an inverse cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders forming. And I think that towards the end of November, we're going to see more bullish price action. December is going to be bullish and the market's going to continue to rocket. I think that's going to happen for a very strong end of the year thanks to the election year tape. I believe this is going to continue. So could SPY retrace, back down to these lower levels? Yes, it could. It could come back down to the 430s. Could even come back down to the very high 420s in the future. It is a possibility for like the short term if we get a big retracement thanks to Moody, the new downgrade for the US. But even if that's the case, right, the inverse head and shoulders is still imminent. And this thing could still rally very hard to end the year. We have a lot of gaps to fill in the 440s, also in the 450s. So I'm still a big bull, guys. I think the market's going to be bullish to end the year. We could be a little bearish for the short term. SPY could retrace to some key levels, which I mentioned earlier. But end of November to December, I am bullish. My news and my view has not changed. I still think there's going to be more upside. All right. That's what I have for this one. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. The future is still very bright. The short term could be bearish, yes. Medium to long term is still a little bit more bullish for the time being, at least approaching 2024. We'll be watching to see how things go from there. All right. That's what I have for this one. Thank you for listening. Have a good one and peace out.